What if the heaviest, darkest song in the Beatles' catalog wasn't made with expensive studio gear, but by standing on a concrete staircase? In 1969, the band threw out the music rule book to record I Want You, She's So Heavy. To get a sound that felt like it was crushing the listener, they had to escape the studio room entirely. The song was John Lennon's love letter to Yoko Ono. John wanted the track to be primal, raw, and hypnotic. The lyrics are incredibly simple, just 14 unique words repeated over and over because John felt that when you're deeply in love, you don't need complex poetry. But if the lyrics were simple, the sound had to be massive. John wanted a guitar riff that felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds, and he wanted the vocals to sound like they were trapped inside an empty, echoing chamber. Abbey Road Studio 2 had a massive, cavernous concrete stairwell right outside the main tracking room. The band realized that the natural hard reflections of the concrete created a reverb that no machine in 1969 could replicate. They dragged long microphone cables out of the studio door and set up amps and vocal mics directly on the stairs. When John screamed the vocals, the sound waves bounced violently off the walls, creating a haunting metallic echo. It gave the vocals a claustrophobic, desperate quality, as if John was trapped inside the very architecture of the building. But they didn't stop at the stairs. To make the ending of the song feel even more suffocating, John brought in a brand new invention, the Moog synthesizer. He didn't use it to play a melody. Instead, he used it to generate a massive hissing wave of white noise. As the heavy guitar riff loops over and over for the final 4 minutes of the track, John slowly turns up the synthesizer's volume.
I want you so bad.
The white noise grows louder and louder, mimicking the sound of a violent windstorm swallowing the band whole. The ending of this song is legendary for another reason. The heavy riff and the screaming windstorm build up to an absolute peak of intensity. Listeners expecting a massive explosion or a fade-out are always left stunned. At exactly 7 minutes and 44 seconds, John Lennon looked at the tape operator and simply said, "Cut it there." The music violently stops in a millisecond, dropping into dead silence. It wasn't a fade, it was a sudden death. John wanted the audience to feel the shock of the music being ripped away from them. I Want You, She's So Heavy proved that the Beatles were masters of space. They didn't just play instruments, they played the building itself. It became a blueprint for modern heavy rock and sludge metal, born out of a concrete stairwell.